Welcome and thank you for attending today's seminar. We had a great turnout. There was over 180 people who registered. And based on the registration list that I saw, it looks like all 8 BCA districts were represented. And we also had representation from Hawaii, Canada, and Brazil. If I missed naming your country, please enter it in the chat box for everyone to see. Now, today's seminar is brought to you by the Everyday Buddhism Committee. And this committee is under the CBE, which stands for the Center for Buddhist Education. The CBE is an educational branch of the BCA, the Buddhist Churches of America. And our committee's goal is to sponsor seminars to apply the Shin teachings in a practical way with our everyday lives. So now I'd like to introduce the committee, and I'll start with myself. I'm Ken. My nickname's Deuce, and my last name is Lacano. There are 2 Kens on this committee, so it's easier if I use my nickname. But I'm from the Mountain View Buddhist Temple. And the chair of our committee is Sam Sonata, who unfortunately could not attend today, but he is from the Buddhist Fellowship of Concord. And he's the guy that keeps us on track to plan all these seminars. And next is Reverend Harada. He is the Orange County Buddhist Church resident minister and our current BCA bishop. And he acts as our minister advisor for our committee. And he's also going to be our guest speaker today. Next, Judy Kono is from the Berkeley Buddhist Temple, and she is the CBE project coordinator. So she basically has a hand in almost every seminar that's put on. Then we have Maya Lawrence from the Buddhist Church of Oakland, and she is a former CBE governing board member. Next is Ken Tanimoto from the Watsonville Buddhist Temple, and recently a former BCA president. And he will be the moderator for the question and answer session following Reverend Harada's talk. Then we have Koichi Mizushima, who is the minister assistant at the Sacramento Betsuin. And he is our technical Zoom guru. But he's also the BCA youth coordinator. So if your temple is thinking or trying to start a youth group or a young adult group, Koichi brings some fresh ideas and a lot of energy. So if you have any interest, I think I'll ask Koichi to put his email address in the chat box if you want to contact him. Also today, helping today is Yumi Hata, who is a BCA CBE staff member. And we also have Carl Yanari from the Palo Alto Buddhist Temple. And he is the chairperson for the CBE governing board. I forgot to mention that Yumi is from the San Francisco Temple. So now, even though he does not need an introduction, I still am very honored and have the pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today, who is our Bishop, Marvin Harada. Sensei?
Thank you very much, Deuce, for your very kind introduction. It's so nice to see everyone today. Let's begin with Gassho. Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. First of all, I'd like to thank the Everyday Buddhism Committee for organizing this seminar today. Within the Center for Buddhist Education, they've been putting on wonderful, wonderful lectures. And the Everyday Buddhism Committee, as Ken mentioned, is trying to focus on the practical application of Shin Buddhism to our everyday life. And that's really been the thrust of my ministry for these 30-something odd years. I served at Orange County Buddhist Church for over 30 years. I'm not the minister there now. I'm full-time for the BCA. But throughout my ministry, that's been my focus, relating Buddhism to our everyday life and seeing it in our everyday life. So it's my pleasure to give this lecture today on the three poisons and on a larger topic, the 6 realms of existence. I'd like to share my screen now. Okay, I hope everyone can see and hear okay.
Yes, Sensei.
Okay, great, great. So the topic is the 3 poisons in our life: greed, anger, and ignorance. But I'd like to deal with this topic of the 3 poisons in a larger topic, and that is the 6 realms of existence, which explains not only the 3 poisons, but also explains the Buddhist view of heaven and hell. And as Buddhists, we're often asked by others of Christian faith, do you have heaven and hell like we have in Christianity? And the response is the 6 realms of existence, Dokudo. So when I was in college, that very question was approached to me by a good friend who was a Christian, and he liked to talk about religion a lot. And he asked me if we had heaven and hell in Buddhism like they have in Christianity. Well, I was just sort of a typical YBA kid. I really didn't know much about Buddhism at the time. So I asked our minister at our local temple this question. And our minister replied, "Oh, we don't have just heaven and hell in Buddhism. We have 6 realms." I thought, huh? 6 realms? And since then, I came to dig into and learn about these 6 realms. And I find them to be a really meaningful teaching in Buddhism that I'd like to share today. Maybe some of you have heard this teaching before, but I'd like to share it with you. So the 6 realms of existence are heaven, human, animal, fighting demon, hungry ghost, and hell. So prior to Shakyamuni Buddha, people in India believed in these 6 realms very literally as geographical realms that you go through, after you die. If you had good karma as a human being, maybe you could move up the ladder. But if you had bad karma, you would fall down into a lower realm, an animal realm, a fighting demon realm in your next life. But Shakyamuni Buddha, in his insight and awakening, reinterpreted this view of the world, and instead of taking them literally, looked at them as psychological states of being that we are going through in our everyday life. He took it psychologically. That's why Shakyamuni Buddha was 2,500 years ago. He was an amazing psychologist, if we were to call him that today. So when we look at the 6 realms in that manner, then we can see the 6 realms in the world around us, in our society, in the world today, but also, most importantly, within us. Within us, we are living this vicious cycle of the 6 realms. So Buddhism looks at the world from 2 perspectives. The unenlightened perspective is called samsara, and it's the world of delusion. And it's the world of the 6 realms: heaven, human, animal, fighting demon, hungry ghost, and hell. So sort of a striking contrast between Buddhism and Christianity is, in Christianity, heaven is sort of this ultimate eternal existence after you die. In a Buddhist sense, it's part of the world of samsara. It's part of the world of delusion. So this samsaric realm is a realm of suffering. It's a realm of our delusion or ignorance. It's a realm of our ego self that causes all of the problems of the samsaric existence and the world of darkness. And in contrast to that, Buddhism says the other view, perspective of the world is from enlightened perspective or nirvana. And that's the world of enlightenment, the world of truth, the world of wisdom, the world of true peace, of true happiness, the world of our true self or the selfless life, and the world of light, radiance. So this is one reality looked at from either samsara or nirvana. So Mahayana Buddhism in particular makes this very profound, bold statement. Samsara is nirvana. Nirvana is samsara. This is one reality, but how we look at it, from the unawakened side or from the awakened side. So once again, the 6 realms represent our world of samsara, the deluded world that we live in: heaven, human, animal, fighting demon, free ghost, and hell. So I want to go into these 6 realms now, looking at it and interpreting it from a psychological way of viewing it. Shakyamuni Buddha saw. The heavenly realm. It's the realm of temporary pleasure, euphoria, short-term happiness, going on a cruise. I have never been on a cruise, but from what I understand, they have gorgeous foods. One of an OCBC member shared with me when he first went on a cruise, he said, my daily schedule was this: 7:30 in the morning, they have bagels and coffee. And then 8 o'clock, they have the nice sit-down breakfast. Then he said at 11 o'clock, they had hamburgers somewhere. So he had a hamburger. Then at 1 o'clock is the sit-down lunch. So he had the sit-down lunch. Then at 5 o'clock, they had pizza somewhere. So he had pizza. And then at 8 o'clock was the sit-down dinner, gorgeous dinner. And then at midnight was the midnight buffet. So that was his daily schedule when he went on a cruise. So a cruise is wonderful. Going on vacation is wonderful. Like going to Hawaii. People from Hawaii maybe think going to Disneyland in the mainland is their heaven, but it's temporary. It's temporary. So after 2 weeks on a cruise, we have to go back to work. We have to fight traffic again. And our 2 weeks of heaven is over. It's just short-term bliss. The human realm is really the hardest realm to understand of the 6 realms, because we have to ask ourselves, what does it mean to be a human being? How much of the day can I say that I'm in the human realm? Or maybe a good part of the day I'm in one of these lower realms: fighting demon, hungry ghost. Jodo Shinshu can be thought of as the path to becoming truly human. I think it was the late Taitetsu Unno that first made this beautiful expression. It's the path to becoming truly human, truly human. Is this the human realm? It's human beings, but we all saw this scene in January. I mean, I don't think this is the human realm, is it? Look at this. This is Black Friday shopping spree. People fighting for the sail, I guess it's some kind of big screen TV. Is this the human realm? This is a picture from Auschwitz. Is this the human realm? So when we lose our sense of humanity, horrific things like Auschwitz. And so, what does it mean to be human? What are the qualities of a human being? Those are the kind of questions that we have to ask ourselves when we reflect on life in terms of these 6 realms. Let's turn to the animal realm. Cute pigs, but hey, I love my bacon just like anyone else. Link sausage. Oh, chashu. Who doesn't like chashu? Dairy cows. Did you know that to create milk, this Holstein cow has a calf, and then the calf is taken away from the cow? That's how we get milk. So the calf is raised separately, and all the milk that would normally go to the calf goes to the dairy farmer to produce milk, to produce butter, to produce cheese, to produce ice cream. The animal realm. So the animal realm is a realm of following our basic instincts. When you're hungry, you eat. When you're sleepy, you sleep. When it's time to breed, you breed. This is the animal realm. And so it's typified as the realm of ignorance. In English, we even have the expression, that guy's an animal, for someone who is really rude or inconsiderate. But in a sense, we might say that, well, maybe animals, they might be more enlightened than we are. I'd like to share a story from our pet dog Spot that we had on our farm many years ago. He didn't have a single spot on him. I don't know why we named him Spot. But Spot, this is when I was in college. I was taking a class on Zen Buddhism. And in Zen Buddhism, there is that famous koan, does the dog have Buddha nature? So I thought, well, gee, does Spot have Buddha nature? Well, he can't do gassho. He can't listen to the Dharma. I don't know. I don't think Spot has Buddha nature. And then one day he happened to chew up my dad's slipper. And so I had to scold him. I scolded Spot, and Spot ran away for about 2 minutes. And after 2 minutes, he came running back and he wants to play. And then I thought, gee, if my parents scold me, I stay mad for sometimes days. Look at Spot. 2 minutes later, he's my friend again. Spot is way more enlightened than me. He manifests his Buddha nature. I never manifest my Buddha nature. So, in a sense, we might be able to see animals as really more enlightened than we humans. But in this scheme, they represent the realm of ignorance. The realm of the fighting demon is the realm of anger. During the pandemic, people are on edge. We hear about angry and violent passengers on airplanes. I understand the incidences of physical altercations on the airplanes went from 130 the previous year to, during the pandemic, 900. And we hear of all kinds of episodes of aggressive behavior passengers and throughout our society. Road rage, we've all seen road rage, mass shootings. So anger is all around us, but within us as well. So an image of an angry passenger on an airplane. This is at an airport. People are angry, upset about flights being canceled. So Buddhism says even a Buddha or an awakened person, they get angry. But the difference between an enlightened person and an unenlightened person is that their anger doesn't last long. But our anger can last for days, for weeks, for months, even sometimes years. Let me share a personal example. I shared this before, some of you may have heard it. As a minister, you really try to avoid arguments with members. And over the course of my 30-something years of ministry, I can count on one hand how many times I've actually had an argument with a member. But sometimes it's inevitable. I felt I had to sort of stand my ground. And I had this argument with a member. He said this, I said that. He said this, I said that. And this was many, many years ago. One day I was taking a shower in our house, and my wife has made this rule that after you take a shower, you have to use this plastic squeegee, and you have to squeegee the shower stall. Otherwise, the hard water film, it gets all icky. So that's the rule in the house. So I'm taking this shower, and something reminds me of this argument I had with this member some years ago. And I'm thinking it. He said this, I said that. I should have said this, but I didn't. I held it in. And I'm recalling this conversation. And then I'm starting to squeegee the shower stall. I went, I squeegeed so hard, the plastic squeegee snapped in two in my hand. I thought, what is the matter with me? How many years ago was this argument? Easily, it was over 10 years. I couldn't even recall how many years. Easily over 10 years ago. And it's like right there. I'm living it again. I haven't let that anger go. And so I shared this story in a message at the Vista Temple. Orange County takes care of Vista. And I gave this message. And then about a month or two later, when I spoke at Vista again, a member there gave me a little gift. And when I opened the gift, this is what was inside. I don't know if you could see it or not. This is a plastic squeegee framed, and it says, just in case I might need it. So I like to thank Hodge Ono for making this wonderful gift of a plastic squeegee frame to remind me of how I hold on to my anger. Think about it in terms of your own life. You don't have to do it right now. After this session, really sit and think about something that you might be angry about, that you're still holding on and you haven't let go. How long are we going to hold on to it? To the grave? For the rest of our life? And who suffers when we hold on to that anger? We suffer. We suffer. We think it's the other, but it's ourselves. We're causing our own suffering. And this is what Buddhism is trying to show us by showing that the 6 realms are within us. Let's turn to the next realm, the hungry ghost realm. The hungry ghost realm is best typified by the world of drug addiction. It's a realm of greed, never being satisfied. And I think the best illustration is the world of drug addiction and alcoholism. I'd like to share a true story about a former YBA young person that I knew from Southern District, not from Orange County, but I knew this person because I was the YBA advisor for many years. Wonderful young man. And out of the blue, he happened to stop by the OCBC office. He said, "Oh, Sensei, I wanted to stop by and talk to you for a little bit." So, oh, come on into my office. And he said, well, I just got out of a rehab program. And when he said that, I thought, well, maybe he's a counselor or something. I didn't think that he would be in a rehab program for himself. But he said, no, for many years, I've had a drug addiction problem. Huh? Really? All the years of YBA, I never knew that or had any inclination that he had that problem. He said he was very clever. He had his temple friends, and then he had his drug friends, and he kept those two worlds apart. But he was telling me, I learned so much from him about the addiction to cocaine. So he said the nature of the drug, cocaine, is that when you take it, the first time you take it, it's just such a euphoric experience, indescribable. And so naturally, you want to have that kind of euphoric experience again. You want to have that same high again. But it's the nature of the drug that no matter how often you take it, no matter the dosage, you will never equate that first drug experience. And that's what hooks you in. You want to equate it. It's a high, but it's not as good as that first high. But the nature of the drug is that you can never equate that first experience. And so now you get sucked into this vicious cycle, or like a downward spiral. And he was sharing, he said over the course of a number of years, he was working at a good job. He spent maybe $40,000 on his drug habit. And he said, I could have bought a fancy car. I could have done all these things. Fortunately for him, his family sort of forced him into a rehab program, and he was able to recover. But the Hungry Ghost realm, really the realm of drug addiction or alcoholism. Let me share a personal example of the Hungry Ghost realm. This is a Toyota Sienna minivan, somewhere around 2004, 2005. We had a van just like this. So our previous minivan was old, had a lot of miles. We decided we needed to buy a new car. So decided on a Toyota. I go to Toyota, and they have these three models. The XLE is the best of the line. It has alloy wheels. It has wood grain trim. It has the premium stereo. It has electric sliding door. So it's the top of the line, but it was pretty expensive. The middle of the line is the LE. The LE has alloy wheels, and it has the sliding door, but it doesn't have the wood grain trim and other nice things. Then there is the basic car, the CE. That's the cheapest model. No alloy wheels, just hubcaps, no wood grain trim, basic stereo, not even the electric sliding door. You have to manually open and shut the door. Well, we looked at the prices and we thought, gee, we think we'd better just buy the CE. So we bought the CE, but we bought the new car, made the transaction. I'm driving home with my new minivan. I pull out of the Toyota parking lot. I'm on the street. I'm driving home. Wow, it has a new car smell and feel. Such a nice feeling, new car. To my right, I see another Toyota new Sienna drive by. And I look, and at the back, it says XLE. Oh, that's the XLE. It has the premium stereo. It has the alloy wheels. It has the wood grain trim. It has the electric sliding door. Oh, maybe we should have bought the XLE. You see this? I just bought a brand new car. I'm pulling out of the dealership, and already I'm not satisfied. Gee, maybe I should have bought the XLE. See how the hungry ghost realm is, it's not necessarily drug addiction, but it's within us too. We always want a little bit more, just a little bigger house. If only our house, we just had one more room, or a little newer car, or just a little higher salary, whatever our salary might be. But just we had just a little bit more, then we could afford to do this or that. And so that's the world of the hungry ghost, wanting a little bit more. Sometimes we experience three realms all at once. My favorite place in the world, Las Vegas. And I always tell people, I have to go to Las Vegas 2 or 3 times a year to really experience Buddhism. So those of you who have been to Las Vegas or enjoy Las Vegas, maybe you can relate to this. But when you go to Las Vegas, you're trying to hit the big jackpot. If I line up these 3 sevens, I'll win whatever, however much money. And you play, and sometimes, gee, you're winning in the beginning. But you get 7, 7, 7. Oh, so close. And you try some more, 7, 7, 7. Just missed it by 1. And you keep trying, it doesn't hit. You put more money into the machine. Finally, after maybe 2 hours, you say, oh, I give up. I put too much money into this machine. You walk away, but you look back at that machine. I always tell people, when you walk away from a slot machine at Las Vegas, never look back, walk completely to the other side of the casino. Because what happens is, if you look back at the machine you were playing, up walks this little old lady. She puts in her money. First pull, cha-ching, she hits the jackpot that you were trying to hit for 2 hours. And you think to yourself, that lady, she hit my jackpot. Now you're greedy, you're angry, and you're stupid all at the same time. 3 realms, greed, anger, ignorance, all at once. Let's turn to the realm of hell. Every culture has a concept of hell. If you live in a hot climate like the equator, your concept of hell is where it's hot, and heaven or paradise is where it is cool. If you live where it's cool, like on the North Pole, hell is where it's cold, and heaven is where it is warm. Well, Buddhism, amazingly, has 16 hells, 8 hot hells, and 8 cold hells. But these are all metaphors. These are all metaphors trying to teach us about the hellish existence. And so here's just a couple of examples. So there's a hell that you fall into for saying something that you regret, like telling a lie or saying something that you regret. And the punishment of this hell is that your tongue grows to be the size of a football field. And these beings plow furrows in your tongue. And so you have to experience this excruciating pain of them plowing your tongue. They finish plowing your tongue, then your tongue heals. Then they start all over again, plowing your tongue. So this repeated suffering of having your tongue plowed. What is this saying? See, what is it saying metaphorically? I think it's saying when we say something we regret, we anguish about it. We anguish about it for years and years. Why did I say that? It was so stupid of me. Why did I say that? You know that it caused someone to be hurt, or you said it out of anger, you said it out of frustration, and it's something you regret, and you'll suffer for it. Another hell, very interesting hell, is a hell in which you're walking along the road and this boulder out of nowhere comes rolling down this hill, boom, hits you and squashes you flat. What is this metaphor trying to say? Isn't it trying to say that sometimes in life you get blindsided? You get totally blindsided. Life is going on perfectly well. You have a great job. Out of nowhere, they say, hey, we're downsizing, you're out of a job. What? Your marriage is going along, what you think is an idyllic, perfect marriage. Out of nowhere, your spouse says, I'm sorry, I'm leaving you for someone else. I use this example in an introduction to Buddhism class. And after the class, this new person, this lady came up to me, she says, oh, Reverend, that exact same thing happened to me. I thought my marriage was going along perfectly fine. Out of nowhere, my husband told me he's leaving me for someone else. That's this hill. This boulder hits you out of nowhere. So our greatest fear should not be the fear of falling into hell when we die. But what if we fall into hell in this life and we have no teaching, no way out of hell? Everyone falls into hell at some point of their life. Loss of a loved one, serious illness, marital issue, loss of a job, any number of things. And our world is turned upside down. We're in a hellish state. What if we have no teaching, no foundation for our life, no spirituality, no path out? It's just this, it's like the drug world, downward spiral. We get more depressed. We stay in grief or sorrow. That's why we need Buddhism. That's why we need the teachings. So that when we do happen to fall into hell in this life, we have a ground to stand on. So I'd like to share something that I learned from my Reverend Haya Akagarasu, and it's about the three beings of hell. So there's three kinds of beings in hell. There is the victim, the person being punished. There is the punisher, person who's giving out the punishment, like the beings that are plowing the tongue of that person. And then there's the judge. In this Tibetan picture that we're going to look at, as Lord Shenje. In Japanese, it's Emma-sama. So Reverend Akagarasu looks at these three beings of hell and subjectively reflects on them. And he says, sometimes we find ourselves as any one of the three beings of hell. Sometimes we're the victim. Oh, woe is me. Nobody is nice to me. I'm unfairly treated at work. Nobody in my family is nice to me. Da 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 da. We're the victim. Sometimes we're the punisher. I'll get back at that guy for what he did to me. As long as it takes, I'm going to get even. And we're in the punisher role. And sometimes we're the judge. We look at the world around us. Oh, this person's good. This person's bad. I like this person. I don't like this person. And we judge everything in the world around us. So we can be any one of these three beings of hell. So let's turn now to this. We've sent as an attachment this wonderful picture, and I'd like to have Koichi bring it up on the screen now. And I'll just briefly explain it. I hope you printed it out. And then there's also the handout, the explanation. So first of all, if you could go to the very, very top of this picture, Koichi, and show this being Shenje. So this is a ferocious looking being, and he's holding this wheel. It's called the Wheel of Life. Now, this is from, of course, the Tibetan Buddhist perspective. And I think they take it partially literally, but also metaphorically as well. So Shenje is holding this wheel of life. And so let's go down a little further and look at this first realm. So there's six pie-shaped segments, okay? And that represents the 6 realms of existence. So this, look, starting from 12 o'clock high is the heavenly realm, and it's way up there in the high, way up in the clouds. Now, I want to explain this heavenly realm in relation to the realm next to it, which is like 10, 11 o'clock. That's the fighting demon realm. Let's go the other way. Yeah, this other way, those, right. So you see in the heavenly realm, there's a tree. The top of the tree is in the heavenly realm. But look at the base of the tree. The base of the tree is in the fighting demon realm. So you see these fighting demons that guys have bow and arrows, and they're pointing up to the people in the heavenly realm. And so what's happening here is the fighting demon people, they're mad because the people in the heavenly realm, they're eating all the fruit from their tree. The base of the tree is in the fighting demon realm, but it grows so tall, the fruit's all up there in the heavenly realm. And so the fighting demon people go, hey, you guys, you're taking all of our fruit. This jealousy and anger. So beautiful metaphor of the fighting demon realm in relation to the heavenly realm. The heavenly realm people, hey, we got this tree, it's got all this delicious fruit. It's in our world. We're going to enjoy it. And they don't share it. They don't share it with the people in the fighting demon realm, even though the trunk, the base of the tree is in their realm. Okay, so those are heavenly realm and fighting demon realm. Now let's go to like 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. And so this is the human realm, And so it just shows people undergoing various human activities. Now let's go down to around 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. So this is the hungry ghost realm. The hungry ghost realm. So the realm of greed, never being satisfied. See the fire that's coming out of the mouths of these people? Everything, food and water, everything turns to fire. You know the story at Obon time about Moggallana. He has a vision. He sees his mother suffering in a hellish realm. She's in this realm. She's in this hungry ghost realm. Everything turns to fire. Everybody is thirsty and hungry. They can never satisfy their thirst or their hunger. Okay, now let's go down to 6 o'clock, and that's the hellish realm. So remember I mentioned there's 16 hells. So to the little bit right is the cold hells. There's 8 cold hells, and there's 8 hot hells to the left. And then there's all this kind of gruesome torture going on of the victims of hell. So the realm of intense suffering. Okay, now let's go up to 7, 8 o'clock. And this is the animal realm. So you just see the various animals in the animal realm. And then let's return then to the top of the fighting demon and the heavenly realm. Okay, so those are the 6 realms within this wheel of life. Now let's go to the very core, the axle. So see these 3 animals in the middle there? So there's a pig, there's a rooster, and there's a snake. And they're each biting each other's tail. They're biting each other's tail. So the pig represents ignorance, the rooster represents greed, and the snake represents anger. So it shows these 3 poisons, greed, anger, and ignorance, and how it just keeps perpetuating each other. Ignorance causes more greed, which causes more anger, which causes more ignorance. And metaphorically, it's shown by these 3 animals biting each other's tail. Then on the outside of that, you have this dark side and light side. I thought this was a symbol of this going around in this vicious cycle is like night and day. It's night and day, but I think there's another explanation of that. But anyway, you have the sheet, you can read it in more detail. So now let's zoom out a little bit more and show this whole image. Okay, that right around there. So interestingly, now this is like a where's Waldo question. In each of the realms, there is a Buddha. If you look carefully in each of the realms, in the heavenly realm, yep, right there, there's a Buddha. And look in the animal realm. There's a Buddha there. Now let's go down to the hungry ghost. There's a Buddha there. And in the hellish realm, there's a Buddha there. And in the animal realm, I'm sorry, that was a human realm earlier. Animal realm, there's a Buddha there. And in the fighting demon realm, there's a Buddha there. Isn't that a wonderful metaphor? So it doesn't matter what realm we fall into, the path of liberation. You know, the Buddha is seeking to help all beings suffering in these 6 realms, no matter which realm. And then go up a little bit higher, a little bit further back. You know, there's a little bit high, a little bit more yet. Okay, see this top left corner? There's a Buddha there. And see, it looks like people are going, there's little beings there going up into this realm of Buddha, and follow that line. Follow that line. It goes way down. It gets real thin, but it keeps going down, 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 down. It goes right into the inner core. Right into the inner core. So there is this path of liberation out of this vicious cycle. So this image is I think a wonderful metaphor of the 6 realms and the Buddhist path of liberation. So of course, some Tibetan Buddhists take it more literally, but we don't necessarily take it literally. Now, on the outside of those 6 realms, you see 12 other segments. That illustrates the 12-fold causation. I'm not going to go into today, kind of a little bit deeper Buddhist philosophy about cause and effect. And it's trying to show how birth and death occur stemming from ignorance. It's not necessarily just a linear cycle, but ignorance affects consciousness, it affects volition, and which leads to birth and death. So that's what that's trying to illustrate. There is an explanation on the explanation sheet, but that's what this is. So, okay, so I hope you find this image really a fascinating metaphor to illustrate graphically the 6 realms of existence. Okay, let's go back to the PowerPoint. Let's see, do I have to share my screen again?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we've covered the picture. Now, so the world around us and the world within us is nothing but these 6 realms. And that's why we need Buddhism. And that's why Buddhism is needed in this world. What other teaching is showing this kind of thing? What other religions are showing the effects of the 6 realms in our world society today? Nobody sees themselves in these 6 realms in the world around us. So how do we break this vicious cycle? How can we get out of this squirrel cage of the 6 realms? So it's like this. The squirrel runs in this cage but doesn't get anywhere. That's sort of like our samsaric existence in the 6 realms. So seeing is the first step to transcending. Seeing the 6 realms in the world around us and within us is the first and most important step. Seeing is everything. Seeing is everything. Without seeing our greed, anger, and ignorance, then we cannot begin to transcend them, resolve them. So this is what I understand, is the first step to recovering from alcoholism is to recognize and see that you are an alcoholic. That's the first step. You have to go, oh my gosh, I'm an alcoholic. I have a drinking problem. That's the first step. So our first step is to see that we are deluded beings lost in the world of samsara. Now we seek the path. That's our motivation, to seek the path, to transcend the six realms. From a practical standpoint, that's great motivation to listen to the Dharma, to learn about Buddhism, because, oh my gosh, my life is consumed by greed, anger, and ignorance. From a practical standpoint, Buddhism can help us with that. So how are we able to truly see? We're able to truly see the six realms around us and within us because the light of the Dharma is illuminating our hearts and minds. That is how we're able to see our ego self, to see the six realms within us. So as we seek the teachings, as we listen to the teachings, as we learn more about the Dharma begins to illuminate our hearts and minds, showing us the six realms within us and in the world around us. So it's easier to see the six realms in the world around us, right? Wow, look at that guy. He's an animal. We see other people's anger. And we think, gee, that guy doesn't see how angry he is. Or she is so greedy. Look, she took all the leftovers from the temple potluck. It's easy to see other people, but it's not so easy to see ourselves. And that's why we need to listen to the Dharma. That's why we need to seek the teachings. And the teachings become the mirror that reflect our inner self to us. So now let's talk about transcending the six realms. I'd like to give some examples of some Shin Buddhists who show in their life how they have transcended these six realms. This is Saichi the Myokonin. Myokonin are the most exemplary Shin Buddhist followers, Nembutsu followers. So Saichi is the short man in the middle. He's one of the most well-known Myokonin. So Saichi wrote many, many poems. And the person who introduced Saichi's poems was D.T. Suzuki, the Zen man, in some of his late writings. D.T. Suzuki, late in his life, was studying nothing but Shin Buddhism, even though he was more of a Rinzai Zen person. He had a deep appreciation for Jodo Shinshu as well, and translated and introduced to the English-speaking world Saichi. So Saichi writes, all my cravings are taken away, and the whole world is my Namu Amida Butsu. See, all of my cravings, my greed, my anger, my ignorance, it's all taken away. And the whole world is Namu Amida Butsu. So when Namu Amida Butsu, let's see, I think I explained it on the next one. Oh, wait a minute. Well, let's look at the next one too. So none of my evil passions, as many as 84,000, remain with me. Every one of them has been taken away by the Namu Amida Butsu. So what's important to note is that Saichi doesn't say that I have squashed out all of my evil passions. Some Buddhist traditions, you have to eliminate your blind passions. You have to squash them out. That's why you meditate, and that's why you follow precepts. And Shinran Shonin tried that methodology, but it didn't work for him. And I can see that it's counterproductive. Let's say you go on a diet, you're trying to lose weight, and your weakness is chocolate cake. So you say to yourself, I'm not going to eat chocolate cake. I'm not going to eat chocolate cake. you're obsessed with chocolate cake. That's all you're thinking about, chocolate cake. So eliminating our evil passions, we can't squash them out. But for Saichi, when Namu Amida Butsu totally enters his heart and mind, it takes away his blind passions, his greed, his anger, and his ignorance. And all that is there is Namu Amida Butsu. So, as I explained, Saichi doesn't say that he himself extinguished or eliminated his blind passions. For Saichi, Namu Amida Butsu has taken them away. The Nembutsu has totally entered his heart and mind. His blind passions do not become a hindrance. They're there, but they do not become a hindrance. So through the Nembutsu, he has transcended the 6 realms. This is a beautiful poem by Saichi that I really love, talking about hell on the Pure Land. I cannot fall into hell. Hell is right here. This place is hell, and hell is where we dwell. Where is Saichi's Pure Land? Saichi's Pure Land is right here. Where is the borderline of the Pure Land in this world? The eyes are the borderline of the Pure Land in this world. The poem continues. Where is Saichi's Pure Land? Saichi's Pure Land is in my heart. It is Namu Amida Butsu. This floating world is wretched. The floating world means the world of samsara. This floating world is wretched, but this floating world becomes the Pure Land. I'm joyful, Namu Amida Butsu. Is that the end of the poem? No, this is the end of the poem. In this world, I enjoy the Pure Land. This world transforms into the Pure Land. I'm joyful, Namu Amida Butsu. Beautiful poem by Saichi, showing his deep spirituality. So earlier I mentioned how Mahayana Buddhism makes the statement, samsara is nirvana, nirvana is samsara. Well, Saichi expresses that in this poem. This floating world is samsara, the 6 realms, which becomes the Pure Land in his heart and mind. So Saichi, he doesn't arrogantly say, oh, I'm a Buddha in the Pure Land. No. So there's this subtle tension between samsara, or shaba in Japanese for samsara, the floating world, and nirvana, the Pure Land. Another poem by Saichi. I am a happy man indeed. I visit the Pure Land as often as I like. I'm there and I'm back. I'm there and I'm back. I'm there and I'm back. Namu Amida Butsu, Namu Amida Butsu. So you see that tension? He doesn't say, I'm just in the Pure Land, I'm a Buddha. No, I'm there, but I'm back in samsara. I'm there and I'm back. And this samsara is nirvana, nirvana is samsara. The 6 realms is transformed into the world of the Pure Land, but I'm still living in this 6 realms as well. I'd like to share a story of an elderly man that I heard by Shigaraki Sensei, who shows that he was not attached to his anger. So Shigaraki Sensei knew an elderly man from his temple. One day, this elderly man was walking along a rice paddy, and some young mischievous boys decided to play a nasty trick on the man, and they jumped out of the bushes and they pushed this older man into the rice paddy, and he got all muddy and everything, and the boys ran off laughing. Well, one of the boys, years later, he had a guilty conscience, and he went up to that man. He said, years ago, some young boys pushed you into muddy rice paddy. That one of those boys was me, and I want to apologize for what I did. But the young man said, but I've always wondered, how come you didn't get mad at us? How come you didn't run after us? How come you didn't tell our parents what we did? And the elderly man said, oh, I got angry. I got mad. But then I heard the voice of the Buddha say to me, they're just boys. let it go. Let it go. See, if I could only have that voice of the Buddha say to me, let it go, let it go. When I'm squeegeeing the shower stall, maybe I would still have that plastic squeegee. But this man, he has that anger, but is able to let it go. Able to let it go because the presence of the heart and mind of the Buddha within him. This is some writings from Reverend Haya Akagarasu. I'm very fond of his writings in Japanese. I've translated a little bit. Reverend Akagarasu was a Higashi Honganji minister. He was a teacher of Reverend Gyome Kobose that I studied under. This is his thoughts on heaven and hell. The realms of hell, hungry ghosts, and animals can be expanded into the 6 realms of existence, which are hell, hungry ghosts, animal, Ashura, which is humans, and heaven. These realms were thought of as objective places separate from this world we live in. This is how ancient peoples looked at the 6 realms. Even today, many people think like this. People thought that you move from one realm to the next, like going from Japan to China or Japan to India. They thought that from this world, you would go to hell or to the hungry ghost realm or the animal realm. However, Shakyamuni Buddha came to see these realms as reflections of his own mind. Heaven or hell were not objective places apart from oneself, but were the reflections of our own mind. They arose from our own heart and mind. If a person's heart and mind is deluded, then the realm they are in is hell. An enlightened person is in the realm of bliss. To go from hell to the realm of bliss is not to go from one place to the other geographically, but it is to transform one's mind. For a person who has a heart and mind that produces thoughts of hell, then no matter where they go in life, they are in hell. For a person who has a heart and mind that produces thoughts of utmost bliss, then no matter where they go, they are in utmost bliss. A person who emits a stinky smell, no matter how nice or clean of a home they go into, that home will stink. In the same manner, a person who emits a sweet fragrance, no matter how stinky of a bathroom they go into, that bathroom will be fragrant. The fragrance of that bathroom is transformed. Instead of looking at the realms of hell, hungry ghosts, or animals as a concrete place, like all the other ancient people before him, Shakyamuni Buddha saw these realms as a reflection of his own mind. So that's Reverend Akagarasu on the 6 realms. This is another striking example of transcending the 6 realms. Hisako Nakamura, the Helen Keller of Japan, as I like to refer to her, and referred to in books too. So she lived her life without hands or feet. This is a publication by the OCBC BEC. It's a reprint of the book, The Hands and Feet of the Heart. It's about the life of Hisako Nakamura. So this is one of her poems. With anger, with sorrow, without giving anything in return, I am allowed to live this moment without hands and feet. I look into the mirror of truth and peek through the window of my mind. What a dirty and frightening sight. And even today, this body without hands or feet is allowed to live in the limitless universe. Ah, let those with spirit find joy and happiness in this world. That is my sole desire. So she admits she has anger, she has sorrow, but this in the middle there, I love this line, I look into the mirror of truth. See, I look into the mirror of truth. What is the mirror of truth? It's the teachings. It's the Dharma for her. The Dharma, the truth of the Dharma is the mirror that allows her to peek through the window of my mind. And what a dirty and frightening sight. But yet, this ego self is allowed in the limitless universe. This small ego self is opened up, its heart and mind is opened up to the limitless universe. And her wishes for other beings. Let those with spirit find joy and happiness in this world, like she has found the joy and happiness in her life. That is her sole desire. This is another poem. I have them, I have them, I have them all. It's all I need. What a refreshing autumn morning. Can we say that? Can we say we have everything? We're totally satisfied with our life. We're totally, whatever amount of money we have in the bank, whatever house we have, whatever car we have, whatever spouse we have, whatever children we have, whatever parents we have, everything in life. I have it all. I don't need anything else. Ah, what a refreshing autumn morning. Hard for us to say, isn't it? Don't we want a little more of this or that? But Hisako Nakamura, I have them all. There's nothing that I lack in life. So just those as examples of transcending the 6 realms of existence. And there's many, many other examples. The whole history of Shin Buddhism is the history of people who, through the Nembutsu, have transcended the 6 realms, who live a dynamic, fulfilled life, not in darkness, not in ignorance, but in light, illuminated by the Dharma, illuminated by Namo Amida Butsu. They experience Namo Amida Butsu not as a word, not as a recitation, but as light, as wisdom that transforms their heart and mind into a world of light and radiance. Namandos, 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 namandos.